Well, we have officially made it to the second week's worth of lectures, and this is our first week where we're not just observing the purely holiness sanctity of syllabus week, right? So we're actually going to go ahead and start off by talking this week plans of studies, career planning and goals, as well as professional organizations to kind of help get you guys there. Before we really go too much further, I want to take the time to remind you that you do have assignments due this week. You're going to have to get that pre-course assessment done. It's going to count as quiz 1. Do not worry about the grade that comes up. It is going to be a completion grade, so just get it done. It doesn't matter if you score a perfect score, if you score a 5%, right? This is a baseline assessment knowledge to see where you're at. It's not your grade at the end of it's only going to be a 100 as long as you do it. But please, the goal is to really see how you progress throughout the semester. You're also going to have a career goals and timeline assignment that you have to get done. You'll see that essentially we're kind of chasing down some of this concept of resume optimization and long-term planning for what are you going to do at the end of your career? What are you going to do when you finally walk across that stage at UNG, or if you're planning on transferring out, what are you going to do when you walk across the stage at UGA or some other big SEC school, right? So with that being said, let's talk a little bit about how the Department of Kinesiology is set up. So if you want, you can go to the faculty and staff page that is linked right here. Realistically, you've got a fantastic group of faculty and staff that are here. You've got experts in each one of these kind of program focus areas, if you will. You've got years and years and years of experience across the combined faculty as well as the adjunct faculty and the staff here. So if you ever have any questions, you need to be really asking the people that have been there, have been in the trenches. And I can tell you firsthand, I've been here for a couple of weeks now, and every single one of the faculty members, every single one of the staff members is just so overwhelmingly supportive of the students in this department that if you have any questions at all, seek someone out. You know, if you don't feel comfortable going to me, or you don't think that I can be the specific one to help you, or you have questions about what it's like to be an athletic trainer at a high-level institution. You know, you've got Dr. Ryan Hipp, you've got Dr. Andrew J. Healy, you've got Dr. Sabrina McGinnis, you've got Dr. Jessica Miles. If you have questions about what it's like to go into the PEAT program or teacher certification, I mean, Warren Caputo, Dr. Caputo is a fantastic reference for you. He's on the Gainesville campus, but he's immediately available almost always for Zoom calls or really just to sit down and chat with. Each one of these hyperlinks listed next to the program areas of exercise science, health and fitness, concentration in teacher cert, or PEAT for short, which is physical education, teacher education, as well as sports med. Each one of these hyperlinks send you to the specific program areas. I'll call it a home page, right? So if you click on the exercise science where it says go here, it's going to bring you to the XSci page. Same thing with health and fitness, etc. Outside of these 4 program areas, a really cool aspect of this Department of Kines here is that we actually have a master's in science. So we have an MSK program, so we have a master's of science, which is what the MS stands for, in kinesiology, with exercise science and health PE focuses. And then we also have a master's in athletic training. So if you're going the sports med route because you want to be in athletic training, you need to be structuring your program area. You need to be talking with the athletic training professors here to make sure that you're setting yourself up not just on what your program of focus or your kind of like degree works looks like, but also where you're getting your shadowing hours, how you can optimize your application, and how you can start career planning for a life outside of academia, and how you can start strategizing for where you want to work at the end of it, right? So just use this page as references. Use it for a go-to source for quickly organizing your way or kind of clicking through the different sections on the web page, if you will. What I'm trying to do here is essentially highlight the different ways that you can get started down the program areas here. So for the PEAT program, you're going to need to declare a kinesiology pre-education major. So really for your first 45 hours, and I'm sure you guys know this, but your first 45 credit hours, you're going to be under general advising. It's after you declare your majors in Kines and you start having, you get accepted in these program areas, that you're going to switch over and have a faculty member from the Department of Kinesiology serving as your academic advisor, if you will. So in order to get to that step, you first have to complete some of the earlier steps, right? Like you need to declare these specific education majors or these specific study areas moving forward with the hopes of getting into these program areas. So if you want to go Pete, it's kinesiology pre-teacher education. Ex-Sci, it's general studies / exercise science. Health and fitness, same thing, right? General studies, health and fitness, and then sports med, general studies, sports and medicine, right? It's after you get accepted into the program area that you have specifically applied for that you will officially have your major changed to one of these Department of Kinesiology program areas, right? It is only after. So if you're thinking Pete, that's on the Gainesville campus. That's what GVL stands for. If you're thinking Kines Ex Phys, you're looking at or exercise science, sorry, you're looking at the Dahlonega campus exclusively. The health and fitness has a campus on both Dahlonega as well as the Gainesville, and then the AT, kind of pre-AT sports med group is here on Dahlonega campus as well. One of the cool things about being in this department here is not only is it a good program area, we've been recognized as not as outstanding program areas, right? So the kinesiology in Dahlonega, so exercise science, health and fitness, and sports med, the three that are available to Dahlonega campus students have all been recognized by University of North Georgia as outstanding program areas and outstanding department, outstanding degrees at Dahlonega specifically. Whenever you look at the Gainesville campus, there's really two that are available to them, right? And those two have been given this distinction of an outstanding program area or outstanding place to study. Or how do you get into the BS and exercise science program? Well, first you have to complete your 35 semester hours of earned credit, and you have to have a minimum GPA of 2.75 or higher. If you don't have it, then you're not getting accepted. When it comes to your area like A through E skills or your area A through E, kind of like gen ed, you need to take biology 2120, biology 2130, and then you also have to be in this class, obviously, right? Kins 2100, and you need a C or higher in each one of those classes, which that kind of makes sense with that 2.75 GPA, right? 4.0 is all A's, 3.0 is all B's, 2.0 would be all C's. You need to have a C or higher in those semesters. All of those prereq courses have to be completed no later than the end of the spring semester. So that's actually going to be the semester following your application submission. So you will apply before you finish all of your coursework. You just have to be slated to take those courses before you apply. The application for the BS in exercise science is in December. There's more information on each one of those hyperlinks that I had on the previous slide so that you can understand exactly when due dates are. And then you kind of can see what you need associated with your application. You have to be accepted into the program of exercise science before you can even take these classes. So it is a gated major, and you'll see that most of these are gated majors, so you're not able to sign up for the classes within the program area unless you have already been accepted in. And that's a good thing because it helps kind of preserve the outstanding nature of the program area, if you will. And you'll see, I mean, some of these slides for the next couple of program areas are all very similar. You have to make sure that you're maintaining all of the rules and regulations of the University of North Georgia. Got to make sure that you're maintaining that minimum GPA because you need it for concentration area admission and you need it for graduation. I'm not going to labor through exactly what you have to take, but what I want you to do here is I want you to look at the classes that you are going to be required to take. I want you to really take a second, hit pause, and see, am I going to be happy taking Intro to Strength and Conditioning? Am I going to be happy taking cardio conditioning and motor behavior and kines? which is 4460, which I'm actually teaching this semester. Am I going to be happy taking research methods? You really need to have an internal dialogue to make sure that it's something that you're going to want to do. Because if it sucks, if you're constantly struggling, you're not going to do well. You're going to hate it, and by the time you come out, you're going to be like a scorned lover of University of North Georgia Kinesiology program or the Department of Kines. The BS in health and fitness. So you can see that the GPA is a little bit lower, and you need a little bit less semester hours. So you need to have a completion of at least 30 semester hours. So that's kind of like your full core, right? It's all your gen eds. You need to have a GPA of 2.5 or higher. This class, right, KINS 2100, you need to know what the field's really going to have for you. Ideally, you take biology 2120 and 2130 with C or higher, and you submit the application. You complete and submit the application. Realistically, health and fitness and exercise science are fairly, I want to say, not interchangeable, but the degree of separation between these two program areas is somewhat hazy, if you will. And you'll see that as we get into kind of what's required and what's not required. Really, the major difference is going to be the electives and the hours of electives that exist. So health and fitness, you have to take a intro to strength and conditioning as well as an advanced strength and conditioning. So you have to take 30-12 and you have to take 40-12. You still have to take research methods. You take exercise epidemiology. You have to take exercise physiology. All of the program areas are going to take exercise physiology, and I'm currently one of the individuals teaching that. So if you like my approach, then you might also like my ex-phys courses as well. But really, the major difference is going to be in what I'm like pointing to the screen, thinking you guys can see me. It's the major thing is going to be what are the electives that you choose to take, and how many elective courses do you get to choose, and that's really the major difference between the BS in health and fitness and the BS in exercise sciences program areas. And again, if you want to look at like an example of what your advisor will go through with you once you get accepted into the program, you can click on these hyperlinks on each one of these curriculum pages, and it'll show you what the plan of study is for you. PEAT, so this is Physiological Education in Teaching Excellence. It's really a teacher certification program so that coming out of this, you are prepared to teach in the K through 12 population in either physical education or in health professions. So you're coming out ready to be a K through 12 teacher. And with that, some of the requirements are a little bit more stringent because you have to have not just a high GPA of 2.75 or greater, you also have to meet all the prereqs, and you have to make sure that you're meeting all of the GACE requirements, and you have a formal submission of an application. So there's quite a bit of things that have to go into the BS and teacher certification. Again, Warren Caputo is going to be your ideal reference for questions regarding PEAT. And really, it's really only on the Gainesville campus. So if you're in this class on Dahlonega, then you're probably going to be transferring over anyways. One of the things that comes along with the teacher cert is you have to have field experience. So you actually have to spend time, almost like you can almost consider it like an internship, but you actually have in field experience in the K through 12 population where you are working essentially as a teacher. You're functioning as a teacher and learning in the field. There is field placement coordinators that are going to be helping you find kind of these internships, and it's just a really good opportunity and a really neat opportunity for the teacher certification program here. There's some other nuanced things, like there has to be a technology certification, or you have to be able to satisfy the technology embedded requirements, and there's the internship that you have to make sure that you qualify for in order to graduate with the PEAT degree. This is the overview of the curriculum. Again, you can see that it pretty much specializes in teacher education, pedagogy, that type of stuff. And that's why you've got like KINS 3025 with the KINS 3025 lab, which is going to be methods for teaching early childhood PE. You're going to have 3000 303, which is classroom management and adapted physical education. So it's going to be more focused on things like pedagogy. So how do you teach? What are some teaching strategies? How do you, if this, it's situational based. If this comes up in a classroom, how are you handling it? How can you kind of be thinking outside the box to educate children or teenagers in the K through 12 arena? Sports med, really sports med is a fantastic program. It's a very, very rigorous program to make it through. The individuals going through sports med are very qualified for entering into the master's level program in athletic training. It's a good arena. It's a good avenue to follow if you're also thinking physical therapy might be where you're trying to go. You have to make sure that you're actually admitted to the program before you can start applying for the classes. There is a deadline for submission for the application as well. It's the first Friday of October in the fall semester. So that's something that's coming up if you guys are considering application for the sports med program. If you're thinking this is next year, you still need to be paying attention to what days are you're going to be having to apply by, what days and times you're going to have to be making sure you have all your coursework completed. Because truthfully, if you miss the application, then you're waiting until the next year. It only opens once, and it's not a every semester roll through, right? Like this is done in a cohort level approach, just like exercise science. You're coming through in a cohort with similar individuals, and you're going to stick with those similar individuals all the way through. Health and fitness is less cohorted. I think it's every semester. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it's every semester they're actually allowing individuals in, so it could be a spring, a summer, or fall admission. Here's the full eligibility. Rather than sit here and read through it, you need to make sure that you have 40 semester hours completed. That's the minimum in order for application. You need to make sure that you've got that 2.75. So what you'll notice is that you either have to have a 2.75 or a 2.5 because each one of these program areas is gated. So if you do not meet those minimum GPA requirements, you will not be admitted. So you need to make sure that really from the first time you're entering University of North Georgia as a freshman until all the way through your graduation, you're really hammering on your grades. Sports med, because it's highly AT based and it's really trying to set you up for a career in athletic training or in physical therapy, you have to go through a series of applications. You have to make sure that you are completing observation hours and physicals and things like that to make sure that you're able to be on the sidelines for games and you're able to be at direct contact observation hours with athletic trainers. This is what the curriculum looks like. Again, you can see that there's a couple of crossover classes, things like exercise physiology, introduction to strength and conditioning, advanced strength and conditioning. So 30, 12, 40, 12. Exercise testing and prescription is going to be a crossover for many of these program areas. And that's not uncommon because really in the bachelor's level, almost each one of these degree tracks or program areas are going to have some level of shared nature to them. And again, it comes back to this colleague approach, right? Like, you're going to be, just because you're in the sports med program area doesn't mean that you're not going to be taking classes with individuals in health and fitness or in exercise science or in teacher education or the PEAT program. Each one of these classes, you're going to be essentially creating colleagues for the rest of your career because you might be hanging out with a future strength coach when you might be becoming an AT that will be working with that strength coach. So these are kind of the basics for applications. Super boring lecture. I apologize, but this stuff is important. You need to know what you have to have as minimums before you can make it in to these individual plans of study.